Hello and welcome to LGBTQ+ Veterans Outreach. My name is Zach Shaver and my pronouns are he, him. I am a Disability and Aging Services Coordinator with Washington County Disability, Aging, and Veterans Services. Previously, I've had the opportunity to work with veterans experiencing houselessness, and I identify as part of the LGBTQ+ community. Having the opportunity to be part of this project to highlight and bring visibility to the LGBTQ+ veteran population is an honor. I also have the honor of being a co-presenter for a training known as Project Visibility. The focus of Project Visibility training is to provide information for person-centered inclusion and care to LGBTQ+ older adults. These trainings are available to Oregon's Aging Network, service providers, long-term care providers, and the community. The goal of our show today is to reach out to the LGBTQ+ veterans and their allies to share information about benefits and resources available to LGBTQ+ veterans living in Oregon. We'll be providing contact information throughout the show and at the end of the show, so be sure to have your phone handy or a pen and paper ready. Let's get started with a message from Kelly Fitzpatrick, Director of the Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs. Kelly uses she, her pronouns and is a decorated Army veteran and retiree with a wealth of experience in Oregon veteran and military affairs. She served a trailblazing 16-year career in the United States Army that included command and staff assignments at Fort Hood, Texas, Fort Stewart, Georgia, and West Point, as well as the Republic of Korea and other overseas locations. Prior to moving to Oregon in 2016 to serve as the Military and Veterans Constituent Services Representative for Senator Jeff Merkley's office, she served as a senior executive in intelligence and legislative affairs at the Pentagon. She has served as the head of the Oregon Department of Veteran Affairs for nearly 4 years after being appointed by Governor Kate Brown in 2018. She is the first woman and the first openly LGBTQ+ director in the agency's history. She lives in Portland with her wife, Joan Sigler. The couple has 3 children and 4 grandchildren.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to take part in this effort to engage broadly with LGBTQ+ veterans and allies here in Washington County and across the state of Oregon. The Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs has encouraged that discussions about issues that are impacting the LGBTQ+ veteran community are taking place. It's engagements like this one that begin conversations and ultimately have the potential to change lives. I received my commission in the Army in 1980. I was just out of college at the age of 20 and not yet out to myself. The official policy known as Don't Ask, Don't Tell was still 13 years away, but the United States military had a long history of rejecting the service of LGBTQ+ individuals. Even as I discovered my own sexual orientation over time, I became increasingly aware of how the Army would force me out of the service, and likely in disgrace unless I went to great lengths to hide who I was. It became incredibly stressful to reconcile remaining in the profession that I loved, while at the same time not being able to live as rich a personal life as I wanted. In light of these challenges during my military career, I felt so fortunate when, many years after I retired in 1996, and I was working in the Pentagon as a civilian, I was able to attend the official announcement of the lifting of Don't Ask, Don't Tell and the very first Pride celebration in the Pentagon. While our nation was founded on the principle of equal rights for all people, countless LGBTQ+ service members have faced horrific discrimination, many of them ultimately being discharged from the military under less than honorable conditions, prohibiting them from accessing veteran services and benefits and preventing successful transitions back into their civilian life. Under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender service members were expressly forbidden from serving as their authentic selves, and at least 15,000 service members were dishonorably discharged for no reason other than their sexual orientation or gender identity. This is a painful history, and it will take a long time, along with much work and many conversations, to begin the healing process. I'm proud to say that Oregon has long been and continues to be a leader in equity and inclusion for our LGBTQ+ veteran community. In 2016, Oregon made history as the first and only state to create a position dedicated to the unique needs of LGBTQ+ veterans. In doing so, the state acknowledged that diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives can go only so far without dedicated efforts to undo the damage done under previous non-inclusive policies. ODVA's LGBTQ+ Veteran Coordinator provides a critically important role within Oregon's statewide network of veteran service officers. For some, upgrading a less than honorable discharge status on a DD-214 can restore eligibility to life-changing earned benefits for a veteran and their loved ones, providing access to health care, education, vocational training, housing, and other services. But there's so much more. Some LGBTQ+ veterans left the military under honorable conditions, yet their official government paperwork still carries the language that they were discharged for homosexual acts. Others have DD-214s with names that no longer represent who they truly are. In these cases, the work of the LGBTQ+ Veteran Coordinator or other trained veteran service officers helps to restore the dignity of these proud and courageous service members. The story of the LGBTQ+ rights movement is one of courage and determination, and it's thanks to their relentless efforts and many sacrifices that so many more of my fellow veterans and service members can live and serve openly than ever before. But our work is not finished. We still have a long way to go, and these efforts must continue to share our stories, support one another, and advocate courageously for a better and more inclusive Oregon and nation for all. I have the utmost admiration and respect for the many courageous LGBTQ+ soldiers, sailors, Marines, Air Force, and Coast Guard members who have willingly volunteered to serve and sacrifice for our country, even though our country did not allow us to serve fully as our authentic selves. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Fitzpatrick, for your leadership and support of Oregon's LGBTQ+ veterans. Now please welcome Ian Michael. Ian uses he/they pronouns and is the LGBTQ+ Veteran Coordinator for Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs. Ian is a queer Marine veteran who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom and during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Before joining ODVA, he worked for the Military Helpline, a service of Lines for Life, where he provided outreach and training opportunities that supported suicide prevention and veterans' mental health. As ODVA's LGBTQ+ Veteran Coordinator, he is part of Oregon's statewide network of trained and accredited veteran service officers, serving veterans and their families within their own local and tribal communities. He is specifically focused on serving and supporting all LGBTQ+ veterans and their loved ones, helping them to learn about and gain access to the full range of their earned benefits. Ian, welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you. Ian, would you please tell us about the services offered by the LGBTQ+ Veteran Coordinator Office at the ODVA?
Absolutely. So in many ways, the LGBTQ+ Veteran Coordinator role serves a role very similar to our other veteran service officers throughout the state. So I have the privilege of working directly with our LGBTQ+ veterans here in Oregon and their family members, helping connect them with federal, state benefits such as our VA health care, disability compensation and pension, houseless resources, and so much more. The LGBTQ+ Veterans Service Office is also equipped to assist our veterans with upgrading their discharge status if they were given a other than honorable discharge under Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy or its predecessors. For many, these policies have created and continue to create inequitable barriers to our LGBTQ+ individuals serving their country or impacting their ability to receive their earned benefits. So here at ODVA and in Washington County, we're saying we see you, and we're here to help you through these barriers. So in some cases, we have LGBTQ+ veterans who've received an honorable discharge. However, their discharge paper, or the DD-214, will include narratives such as homosexual acts or any type of other homosexual reasoning for discharge, or an adverse re-enlistment code, which again impacts our veterans' mental health. This office and county and tribal veteran service officers throughout the state are equipped to assist with military record corrections, also including having these narrative reasons for discharge removed, or with other corrections such as a name change. And finally, yes, the LGBTQ plus Veteran Coordinator Office, or here at the LGBTQ plus Veteran Coordinator Office, I have the privilege to be involved with the training of all of our accredited veteran service officers in the state of Oregon, helping them to understand the unique needs and experiences of the LGBTQ plus veteran individual and community, but also how to better serve them from a culturally sensitive and also a trauma-informed approach. So I guess the biggest message would be, if you're a member of the LGBTQ plus community and you served your country, or if you've applied for benefits in the past and were denied, I'm asking you to reach out to either myself, your county tribal veteran service officers, and we can support you moving forward.
And Ian, what are some frequently asked questions that you help LGBTQ veterans with?
Amazing question, thank you. Military service continues to shape each veteran here in Oregon and throughout the country, shape them and their experience differently. We receive many inquiries throughout the day, throughout the weeks, on discharge status upgrades, military record corrections, because the reality is serving our country should elicit pride. However, sadly, for many of our LGBTQ plus veterans here in Oregon, we continue to hide our records. They continue to hide their sexual orientation out of shame, continued discrimination, and trauma. And it does make all the sense in the world that this would be something that would be important to those who served. Imagine carrying around a DD-214, which is our discharge document, which is the proof of our military service, and it's also required to access things like our VA healthcare, obtain veteran ID, license plates, or really just obtain any other veteran benefit throughout the state. And imagine if this DD-214 had misnamed you, or even had language in it that outed your sexual orientation, such as, homosexual acts or propensity for homosexual acts. This would continue to create barriers in accessing your earned benefits, and this is what happens to our LGBTQ plus veterans. So it's not something that anyone should or would feel comfortable turning over to a stranger, let's say at the DMV, as you go for your military or veteran license. Or even if you wanted to go to a sporting event and access that military discount. It's not something you would want to hand over. And so for many of our LGBTQ veterans, Q plus veterans here, we're unable to serve as their authentic and true selves. Their military records or their DD-214 is a constant reminder of this painful history. So I recently worked with a person who served in the military over 20 years ago. I received a call from one of their banking individuals, and when I contacted this person, they made sure that I wouldn't call them a veteran, just due to their trauma. They even told me, hey, it's okay if you can't help me, can you just tell them I'm not a veteran? I have zero hope in claiming the title of veteran. So after months of diligent working with this veteran, I was able to call them and welcome them to the veteran family, or the Oregon veteran family, because they received their disability rating from the VA. And so after that, I stayed on the phone for about 5 minutes while I listened to this person weep out of appreciation, and it still does. It brings me to tears, because when I asked how did this feel, they said they never thought that they would be able to be a veteran. And so we ended the call with them running in to tell their husband that they were married to a veteran. So it's just a beautiful story. And I'm also very grateful for the opportunity that I have, and that we at ODVA have, and in Washington County, to be able to help restore people's dignity in their military service, and restore their military service to something, again, that they could be proud of, carry that DD-214 with pride. We also receive a lot of gratitude calls, a lot of appreciation calls, and these are also equally important, because it keeps us moving forward and supporting our LGBTQ plus veterans. We had one call to the office received from a person who actually found one of our flyers in a gay bar in Portland. At one point, and many points throughout the call, the individual got emotional and said more than once, I never thought the government, or I never thought Oregon, would want to help an old queer like me. And it's these types of statements that, again, add fuel to the fire in which we do what we do. And it's moments like these that make me so proud of the work that I get to do here at ODVA, and it reminds me of why I do this work. If you or someone you know needs assistance with your discharge upgrade, corrections made to your military records, or you just have questions about VA benefits, reach out to me, reach out to your county tribal veteran service officers for more support, because we are here to assist you and support you along the way, because we see you.
And Ian, is there anything else you would like Oregon LGBTQ+ veterans to know about?
First and foremost, yes, thank you for your service. And I think the main message that we would like veterans who identify as LGBTQ+ to hear is that Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs, along with our partner county and tribal veteran service officers, we see you and we see your service. We're here to serve you and provide access to services and benefits that again will help address your specific needs. The work starts by reaching out, contacting someone at ODVA, or reaching out to your local veteran service officers because we are all here. We're located in every county to serve you, including here in Washington County. And so if you need any assistance, feel free to reach out to one of us.
And Ian, how can LGBTQ+ veterans connect with you?
There's a few ways. They connect with me directly by email at odva_LGBTQ_vets@odva.oregon.gov. There's also some contact and benefit information on our website. You can find that at oregon.gov/ODVA. You can click on the resources for, and then you'll find the LGBTQ veterans link. Click on that, and you'll come to our LGBTQ+ veterans page. Most importantly, if you are ready to work with a veteran service officer in order to start your claim, discharge upgrade, any of the information that we've shared with you here today, or if you just want to find out what benefits you might be eligible for, go ahead and click on the Locate Services link that's on our website, and from there you'll be able to find a local county or tribal veteran service officer that's nearest to you.
Well, thank you, Ian, for providing your advocacy, awareness, and assistance to Oregon's LGBTQ+ veterans.
No, and thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be here, and also an honor to continue serving, supporting, and advocating for Oregon's LGBTQ+ veterans and their families. So thank you.
Our next guest is Jill Friedman. Jill's pronouns are she, they, and she is the LGBTQ+ Veteran Care Coordinator for the Portland VA Healthcare System. She is also the Administrative Officer for Social Work Service and the Decedent Affairs Manager. She has extensive experience in the VA healthcare system, having been the Program Support Assistant for mental health training programs, the PSA for Pharmacy Service, an Advanced Medical Support Assistant with Audiology and Speech Language Pathology, and a Medical Support Assistant with the Patient Services Unit. Prior to joining the Portland VA healthcare system, Jill was an administrative assistant with the University of Texas at Arlington Office of Veterans Affairs. Jill is a decorated veteran of the U.S. Army, where she served as an intelligence analyst, including a Kosovo deployment and a rotation in Korea. Jill, could you tell us more about your role as the LGBTQ+ Veteran Coordinator?
So I am one of the LGBTQ+ veteran care coordinators for the Portland VA healthcare system. The other veteran care coordinator, or VCC, is Dr. David Thompson. He's a psychologist in our Hillsborough clinic. He and I are responsible for things like educating staff about VA policies and procedures around LGBTQ healthcare, for communicating with the public about what the VA is doing for LGBTQ+ veterans, for answering questions from veterans. Sometimes folks reach out to me directly. Both Dr. Thompson and I have our names and contact information posted on our public-facing site. We're also responsible for creating a welcoming environment within the VA Portland healthcare system. So putting up things like affirming displays, encouraging people to wear those rainbow lanyards that veterans may see when they come up to the hospital. Every VA system has at least one LGBTQ veteran care coordinator, and Portland's very fortunate that there are two of us. Dr. Thompson and I are both veterans and both members of the LGBTQ+ community, and so this work is very personally important to both of us.
Great, great. And Jill, how does that fit into the VA's framework for LGBTQ+ healthcare?
Well, the VA's motto is taken from that Abraham Lincoln quote about the VA being for those that have borne the battle. And the Veterans Health Administration LGBTQ+ health program uses the motto, "We serve all who served." The VA is for all veterans. We want all veterans to have access to their health care.
Great, great. And how is that different from what the ODVA does?
We are strictly healthcare. ODVA has other types of benefits available to veterans, but the LGBTQ VCCs are able to answer questions about VA healthcare benefits.
Great, great. And what healthcare benefits does the VA offer LGBTQ+ veterans?
Veterans who are interested in healthcare options through the VA would go to two places, usually primary care. At the VA, primary care is usually the first place you want to go for any kind of health care. So primary care can do things like order prosthetics. The VA offers prosthetics such as wigs, packers, gaffs, stand-to-pee devices, dilators, chest compressors, bras and breast forms. The primary care provider can also prescribe hormones. The VA currently requires a diagnosis of gender dysphoria, so primary care would send the veteran to mental health very briefly to get that diagnosis, and then the primary care provider could prescribe the hormones. I like to mention that to veterans when they ask about healthcare services so that the mental health visit isn't a surprise. So prosthetics, hormones, dermatology services. Some veterans are interested in things like facial hair removal. The VA can do that, although we don't have estheticians in the hospital or the clinics, so for that we would refer a veteran to a provider in the community that we contract with. Another thing that a primary care provider can do is to refer a veteran to a speech-language pathologist. Sometimes veterans want to work with a speech-language pathologist to move the pitch of their voice either higher or lower. The VA can also do things through primary care like sexual health care. So veterans who are concerned about being at risk for HIV can go to their primary care provider for things like PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, or PEP, post-exposure prophylaxis. The primary care provider can also help with family planning. Family planning at the VA is mostly hormonal birth control, also elective sterilization, or the reversal of elective sterilization. So a veteran who had had a vasectomy and then later chose to reverse the vasectomy, the VA could do both of those things. The VA will also help with artificial insemination. For the veteran, the benefit does not extend to the veteran's spouse. And the VA does not provide for the transport or storage of gametes, so the veteran would have to make arrangements for that themselves. The VA will store gametes for veterans in instances where their health care has the potential to impact their fertility. So for instance, before starting some cancer treatments or before starting hormones. And then the VA will store gametes for 5 years unless the veteran passes away or gives the gametes to someone else. Sometimes they don't maintain ownership of them. The VA primary care provider can also do things like pre-surgical letters of support. So the primary care provider can do quite a bit and is usually the best place to start. Another place that a veteran can go is to mental health. They do not need a referral from primary care to see a mental health provider. Mental health providers help with things like those pre-hormone diagnoses. They can also help with pre-surgical letters of support. They provide individual therapy, and the VA also runs 2 support groups for LGBTQ+ veterans, one specific to transgender and gender nonconforming veterans, and another one for the larger LGBTQ plus veteran community. So those are some medical things that the VA is able to do. We're also able to do a couple of demographic things. So the VA's electronic health record software defaults to using a veteran's legal name and sex assigned at birth. If the veteran makes legal changes to either of those two things, and they let us know that, they provide the paperwork for that through our privacy office. The privacy office can update their record to reflect those legal changes. But for folks who don't want to make legal changes, we can also include the name that they go by in parentheses next to their legal name. And then we also have what we call the self-identified gender identity field. And so the veteran can specify their gender identity in their medical record if they wish to. And both of those changes can be made without any paperwork by just calling our enrollment office.
Jill, what policies are in place to protect LGBTQ plus veterans?
Well, the VA has two directives. Directive 1340 that speaks to sexual orientation, and Directive 1341 that speaks to gender identity. And both specify that the VA is required to do things like using a veteran's name and pronouns. When veterans stay at the hospital, we are required to house them in accordance with their gender identity. They're allowed to use the restroom that aligns with their gender identity. They can designate anyone to make healthcare decisions for them if they're not able to make them themselves, such as a same-sex partner, spouse, friend. They can also have any of those folks visit them if they're staying in the hospital. The VA is prohibited from disclosing a veteran's gender identity or sexual orientation without the veteran's permission. Sometimes that disclosure is necessitated by care. For instance, if a primary care provider referred a veteran to dermatology or to mental health, their orientation or gender identity might be relevant to that referral. But that would be strictly need to know in the context of medical care kind of disclosure.
And where can veterans find this information online?
So we have a public-facing website. The Portland VA Healthcare System has a public-facing website, so if you were to look up Portland VA LGBTQ, that will take you there with my name and Dr. Thompson's name and a breakdown of the different kinds of services. There is also the National VHA LGBTQ site. So if you don't remember me, or if you wanted to look up a veteran care coordinator in another part of the country, that info is listed publicly on the national site.
And Jill, who can LGBTQ plus veterans come to with questions?
Anyone with questions is welcome to reach out to either me or Dr. Thompson directly. Our names and contact info are posted on the VA Portland's public-facing site. If there's an issue, they can also report that issue to the patient advocate's office. Sometimes veterans choose to reach out there first, and then the patient advocate will reach out to me and we will find a solution together.
Well, thank you, Jill, for sharing all of the important services that the Portland VA Medical Center provides. Thank you, Jill, for sharing the important services and connections that the Portland VA Medical Center provides to the LGBTQ plus veterans. Next, please welcome veteran Robbie and Washington County Veteran Service Officer Colette Klein. Robbie is a client of Washington County Veteran Services and works with Colette. Robbie's pronouns are he, his, and Colette's pronouns are she, her. Welcome, Robbie and Colette. Robbie, how did your County Veteran Service Officer, Colette, help you with your VA claim?
She went above and beyond making sure that I can understand the questions very well, because a lot of it's legal types of words that I didn't understand, and she went through it with me. She went through everything that I could be eligible for. She just took her time and made sure everything was covered.
Great, great. What would you like other veterans to know about working with a county veteran service officer?
Try it. Put your pride aside and actually give them a call, because you never know what kind of help they have available to you. I was taught in the military to not ask for help. It would seem like a weakness, and I grew beyond that kind of thinking. But when you're needing help, you'll take any kind of help you can get. And Colette, with her patience, guided me in every area that I was going through at the time, including my veterans benefits, to get me stable and to get everything going, and to make sure I was on my 2 feet, standing on my 2 feet.
Great, great. Well, thank you for sharing your experience, Robbie. Colette, could you please tell us what a county veteran service officer does?
Sure. A county veteran service officer, they are there to help veterans and their families, not just veterans, but the family members as well, to access benefits offered through the Department of Veterans Affairs, whether it be getting the veterans educational benefits, their service-connected benefits, non-service-connected pension benefits, access to the VA medical, college for the family members. It's a myriad of different benefits and ancillary benefits that are accessed through the state. We have 6 VSOs in our county, which we are very fortunate that the county supports our office because of the fact that our office has shown time and time again we have done a lot to help stabilize veterans and their families in the community, which helps make a healthy community.
Great, great. And Colette, what do you like most about your job as a county veteran service officer?
Seeing the outcomes. Seeing the outcomes, working with the veterans. They're a unique group of people in our community, especially the LGBTQs. They are there to help, and they would help anybody, get their shirts off their back for anybody and not ask in return, but yet they're also a community that needs support to be elevated. So that is one of the biggest benefits, is seeing where we can help. Yeah. What else?
You said it. That's pretty much a nutshell. You covered everything.
Okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anything that could help you. So.
Pretty good at that.
Great, great. All right. Well, thanks to everyone today for sharing the resources that are available for the LGBTQ plus veterans living in Oregon. If you're interested in learning more about your veteran benefits in Washington County, contact Washington County Disability, Aging, and Veterans Services at 503-846-3060, or visit our website at co.washington.or.us/DAVS/veterans, or check us out on Facebook at WashCo DAVS. Well, thank you so much again to Robbie, Jax, and Colette. We definitely appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.